the Mindful Living podcast, where we explore the small shifts that can lead to big changes in our health, mindset, and daily joy. I'm your host, Sana, as always, and today, listeners, we are talking about something which is deceptively simple and one of my favorite topics to discuss: the pace at which we eat. Now, in a world that celebrates hustle, even our meals have become rushed transactions. Lunch in just 10 to 15 minutes, dinner in just 10 to 15 minutes, that doesn't make sense at all. But what if slowing down at the table could be a gateway to better digestion, deeper satisfaction, and even a more joyful life? So, listeners, joining us is Angela Gioffre. She is a passionate nutritionist and mom whose journey into holistic health began not in a clinic but at her kitchen table, driven by love, curiosity, and a refusal to blindly follow mainstream advice. She now helps people cut through the confusion around food and create realistic, sustainable habits that nourish from the inside out. So, can chewing really change your gut? I mean, chewing slowly and your outlook as well? Let's quickly find out. So, Angela, welcome to the show, and I'm really, really happy to have you here with us.
Thank you so much, Sana. I'm so thrilled to be here as well. As someone who works with people struggling with stress and digestive issues and hormone imbalances, I've seen firsthand that food isn't just fuel and it's feedback. It communicates with your body and your nervous system. And this is happening all day long. And once you understand how to help your body digest food better and nourish the bacteria in your gut and regulate your brain chemistry, and everything changes. And I wanted to share this really simple hack that everyone can do to improve their health.
That is that is such a great, beginning to this conversation. So, and I absolutely support you because before recording we were just talking that how I am a huge advocate of slow eating, and sometimes my friends and yeah, most of all times my friends only, they kind of taunt me that we have finished our meals, you are still eating, you are still you have just half finished. I mean, how slow are you? But I always tell them that I enjoy eating my food mindfully. I want to feel each and every bite of my food which I'm having. It's not that, like, I forget that I have eaten this lunch or I've eaten this in my snacks. I want to enjoy my food. So I want to ask you, Angela, what does slow eating actually mean? And how is it different from just being mindful about food?
Okay. So slow eating. Let's backtrack a little bit. Once upon a time, everybody used to sit down and eat together. And in doing that, they were calm. Their body goes into rest and digest, which is happening by activating the parasympathetic nervous system. And their food gets digested properly. If we fast forward to where we are now, in a world of convenience, it has bulldozed all the traditions. And it's done more than just disrupt digestion. It's ruptured like the social bonds that like once kept us held together. Now, the average time frame that people consume their meals at this time is 11 minutes from start to finish. It actually takes 20 minutes for the brain to register it's full. So already, your brain is not like registering that you've had enough. So you're going to consume more. But eating or chewing is the first place that we experience digestion. That's the first part of the digestive tract. And the more we chew our food, the more there's a couple of things that happen, but one of them is we basically let our stomach know that food's coming and to release digestive enzymes. One of the enzymes that happens in the mouth is called amylase, and that helps break down carbohydrates. And so, like this process, this beginning process of chewing and slowing down it does so much for our gut, increases it also changes the way our, gut biome reacts because we're not releasing cortisol. So if we're, like, quickly shoveling down food, then our body's also gonna be releasing cortisol because there's this, like, a level of anxiety attached to that situation. It's not just, like, this calm, present moment. It's like, "I've gotta be quick." And that can do like lots of damage in the body. But in terms of digestion, you're talking about like rupturing, well, it makes the um, gut lining thinner on our stomachs so that like more food particles can pass through. And that's not something you want to happen because that's how we have lots of health implications that happen as a result of that. So the idea is that like when you chew your food and you also don't have these big particles going into your stomach, you have smaller, already pre-digested food, then your body is going to receive it a lot easier as well.
That is so, so true. I so agree with you because number one, you mentioned about cortisol. Just yesterday only I recorded an episode with on the mindful living itself with one of our guests talking about how cortisol can actually have detrimental effects on your overall well-being, and it's a stress hormone. And secondly, um, this is so much relevant, especially in the corporate setting. Angela, when I because I left my corporate days like 2 years, a year back, and I used to dread the way people have their lunch. Just go get your lunch, microwave something and eat it. And within 15-20 minutes, you are done. I mean, I didn't used to have this idea that how you can have lunch and then immediately get on to work. Because I used to feel very drowsy after having lunch, especially within like half an hour, 1 hour, I'm feeling that drowsiness. And then again, I'm going back to the coffee machine, getting, cups of coffee just to keep myself awake. So that is so, so much relevant, and I don't know. I don't know about others, but I used to hate that.
Yeah, and it's kind of like this vicious cycle, right? So like you don't digest your food properly because you're in a rush. And so then you need coffee to like give you energy because your food hasn't digested properly. Because like ultimately we eat the energy and nutrients. And so when like our body's not digesting things properly, then we need other things to meet those needs. And so then that just puts us on a roller coaster and then we drink lots of coffee and then that can also spike our cortisol levels. And then, we don't sleep properly because we've drunk so much coffee. And then that's going to impact your gut biome. And then you wake up the next day and you do it all over again. And you keep on reliving this same like show. Eventually there's going to be issues because the body is not getting what it needs, and you're also not in a state to digest that anyway. So it's like, you know, like in Italy, for example, it's very incredible, but like at lunchtime, people go home to eat with their families, even the kids at school. They go home to eat lunch with their families. So they have this really kind of beautiful tradition that's ingrained in society that's culturally about the most important thing, which is eating food and eating it calmly and eating it with people you love. Those 3 things have to, and I think that's something that's really missing from the Western world, like, we're all kind of chasing this, elusive, like, "When I get here, I'm gonna stop." When I get to this next thing, I'm gonna, like, calm down, but it's like a hamster wheel, and we don't get off, until we're forced off, and then we go, "Oh my god, I've gotta look after myself. How do I fix my gut?" Because to be honest, like, your gut health is your whole health. It's like it controls your immunity, it controls your mental health, it controls basically everything. The inflammation in your body is controlled by your gut. And if we don't do the things, to the best of our ability at the most important time, which is when we're eating, then, there's going to be implications.
Yeah, that's so true. And I really liked the way uh, gave a start to that answer. Once upon a time, it's kind of a sarcastic way of looking at the current the scenario of how we all eat. Because yeah, in my childhood, we always had this practice of eating with our family, everyone on the same table, eating. And my father used to actually scold me, if I would talk while eating. You shouldn't talk while eating. First, eat your food. First, pray, eat your food, and then you talk. So it was
But
kind
how
of,
beautiful is that?
yeah, exactly,
It
exactly.
is it's, it's like honoring because, like, our grandparents really valued those things,
Yes.
and it seems to have been lost, somewhere in translation between the last couple of generations, and now it doesn't seem to have the same, like, priority in our out. It's yeah, and it's sad. But the implications for that are like, because we're not slow eating, and to be fair, it's also like our food is so convenient. Like
Mm.
you can go down the street and in 2 minutes you can pick up a meal that was made in a factory and it's like served up to you and you can eat it in under 11 minutes and you kind of feel like you're done, right? But that convenience is destroying so many other things. There was an interesting study that was done with fast food into some South American countries, and what happened is they could see that when they were introducing these foods, they made them super cheap, and they started like the kids' school canteens. And we're talking about cultures where the home environment was the priority, and there was usually the mum at home, she was cooking, and, it was very traditional kind of, setup. And what happened is and this is documented, so once they introduce these fast foods and make them super cheap, the kids start, like, tasting them, and they're high sugar and high salt, so they, like, become really addictive. And by the time the kids get home, because 'cause they've snapped on these things, it might be like a chocolate bar or a packet of chips or, whatever it is. By the time the kids get home, they're not hungry because they've been snacking on these convenience foods. And so then after like 6 to 12 months of this, the mum stops cooking dinner because no one's eating. And she has to go to work to make money to buy the snacks. And all of a sudden, that family table is ruptured, and the children don't eat slowly, and convenience replaces, everything that was fundamental even for the well-being of the children. But like because everything's fast and it's super easy to eat, the texture of convenience food is very basic. And you can just like there's no like really hard parts. There's no, it's very simple. And so it's sweet, meets our needs, we eat quickly and it's over. And but that is destroying so much. And so, there is a way out of that, right? And that's like we start taking stuff back into our homes and we start cooking our own meals and we start eating together and we eat slowly and we enjoy the process. That has to be one of the biggest elements of like mindfully eating and improving your health is enjoying it. The texture and the taste and the gratitude for the person that's made it, even if it's yourself. You can be like, so grateful that I made this like incredibly delicious food and you know and that's transformative. Like that can transform your home and your family's world. There was also a study that was done, with children, and they found that, like, if children ate at the table, like, 5 times a week with their family, they performed better at school. they had less behavioral issues, and, overall, they had better relationship skills because those things are formed over the table. And there's also something else, like, when we share food with other people over the table, we share our microbiome, so that is exchanged between the people that we're sitting with. And over time, that increases our gut diversity, and it also makes us stronger and more resilient, and having it had a stronger immune system as well. It's phenomenal what, starting with the act of chewing your food and then bringing in these other elements of, like, eating with people, and because when you start eating slowly, it has to be a mindset shift. And then that mindset shift opens up these other doors. And you go, well, actually, I'm going to slow eat. I'm going to share my food with people. And then, well, then amazingly, you're going to share your microbiome. And then you're going to have better relationships and you're going to have better health. And, it just, the benefits get stacked on from there.
True, true. That is harsh. I mean, it's. I mean, as you said, it's a vicious cycle, especially with those studies done in those South American countries. I think it's globally prevalent. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just that we are putting it officially on a paper or as a resource with the data and the scenarios and all the case studies, but this is what, as a generation, I can feel the change. And it's not
Mm.
only our biological um, systems, but it's all other factors. There are many other factors which are causing this. I mean, it's socially changing our equation. It's affecting us, whether, our kids or ourselves at our workplaces, our family dynamics, and our mindset. Psychologically, we are getting affected. So I mean, the scale of seriousness is really, really, large here,
Of
huge.
course. And is it as prevalent where you are?
Yeah, yeah, it is. It
It
is.
is the same as the westernized.
Yeah. So there's something called as, I often get to hear across, studies that there's an instant gratification that currently we all are having. And it's not only just the Generation Zs or the Alphas, in fact, in millennials as well. So we have all these 10 minutes delivery, then
Mm.
quick service restaurants, where you just instantly order your food and you get it on your table. So it's kind of um, steering us away from the fact that, you know there is there are people behind, who are putting the food across on our table. There is um hard work here, there's a value here, there is gratitude here that you are able to get your food, you're able to eat that. And
Mm.
as if you don't get that gratitude when you quickly just get access to all these fast foods and chips and stuff. But the joy in having cooking your own meal and eating it, it's something different, which I think most of us are getting devoid of.
100%.
Yeah, it's here as well. It's here as well.
It's global.
Yeah, it
It's,
is global.
and it's driven by financial benefits, right? Like, there's people in these corporations that it's not malice. It's just they make money from it. But the antidote to that is slow. The antidote to fast is slow. So, like, you know, and in every way, we can balance that with, real food. You're sitting over a table, slowly enjoying, the food on your tongue, and being present to the smell, and, all those kind of things. Like we discussed before we got on air, I'm also a massive foodie. Like, I love food, and I can tell you, like, I can't tell you what I did yesterday, but I can tell you what I ate because I can remember. because it gives me so much joy to eat. Like, and I can remember those flavors and, I can remember the tastes and what vegetables are in there and all those kind of things. And when you slow down and, really enjoy your food, because food is life. Like, you don't eat, eventually you die. Like, it's life, and it's putting life into your cells, and it's being transferred into energy, which gives you energy to do the things that you wanna do in life. And so, like, the more you enjoy that process of, like, taking in life, the more you will have energy-wise output, providing it's good and healthy food, of course.
Of course, exactly. And Angie, I would love to know, I mean, how you are a foodie, so I can absolutely connect with your interest in there. But how exactly you got into this world of advocating slow eating? I mean, you must have had seen the benefits firsthand, maybe in your health or your family. So I would love to know that journey behind all of this.
Yeah, so, um well, I deal with a lot of people constantly, um, who need help nutritionally. Um, in my own family, I've got to say we're pretty fortunate. My family, so for me, um, I have an Italian background, and my grandmother every Sunday would have the whole family over. And so, anywhere from between 20 to 40 of us around a big table at her home, and she would cook for everybody. And so that process of eating together, and my family at home, we'd always eat together. So that's very normalized in my home. And that is something that we do every day. We all eat together. No one eats alone. We sit down, we chew our food, we take a breath, we're present. And there are no screens, there are no, you know, phones, anything like that at our table when we eat. But what I do see is firsthand how the hurried existence impacts people and their health, and the changes that happen when people start chewing the food, being present, and slowing down that whole process. Even from a digestive perspective, like, they have less bloating, less
Yeah.
reflux, less gas, because when we also eat quickly, we swallow a lot of gas, like, a lot of oxygen, and, that can, like, bloat us, but, again, back to the big food particles, like, they're getting in, the body's trying to break them down. That can cause some discomfort, especially if there are holes in the stomach. There's lots of things, but on the other side of that, I've seen the incredible change that can happen when people slow down. And, you know, and they actually end up becoming obsessed with food as well, because like, in a good way, in a really healthy way, because they're then part of the process. It's not they're separate from their food. There's a connection to their food because all of a sudden they're present to it. And yeah, so I've seen like massive benefits for digestive health and massive benefits even for mental health, because all of a sudden they are more alive, and
Mm.
their gut biome has obviously significantly improved as well as a result of chewing their food better and, being calm when they're eating. And we also work on other aspects of their diet, not just those two elements, but yeah, it's an interesting journey to watch. And also, like, it's so crazy, but like when people start to become and because that's what happens, right, as a result, that they become conscious of the fact that, oh wait, I was rushing eating, and now what else am I doing that's a rush? And it's sort of is this um it's a catalyst for change in other areas of their life and being present in other spaces as well.
That is absolutely true. Absolutely true. And trust me, Angie, I mean, personally, I can vouch for this on days, when I mean, my schedule is such busy that I don't have time to cook food. I have to have takeaways in, but then also I try to have a healthier option in that. But when I do get my time, I love cooking food and I love to eat my own cooked food. I don't have my mother physically here, but of course, when she's there, it's her. She's like, I respect her. But trust me, when I eat home cooked meal, I never feel bloated. I never
Mm.
feel stuffed, even if I'm having not unhealthy, but maybe, the traditional Indian food that we have, like rice, dal, or a curry. Sometimes even a bit of towards a bit of, towards the oily, not very much, but sometimes, very rarely once in a week. But still, also, I don't feel that stuffiness. But when I'm having, any kind of takeaway, which is like either a fast food or uh, too much of, spicy or oily, uh, I feel stuffed. I
Of
feel
course. And like, you know, there's often, oils that are reused over and over and over and over and over and over again because it's not financially viable for people to, I'm talking about in fast food outlets or, because their primary focus is not your health. Their primary focus is being a viable business. And so, it's like, it's hard because it's not their problem, it's yours, right? And it's tricky and we can feel it when it's not like we would do. But it's also a problem of like our modern day life, we're so busy that we have to fill the spaces sometimes with the takeaway. And it's like no judgment to that either, because we're all the same. We all, it's but yeah, being aware that how it feels in your body is so powerful.
too wonderful, wonderful, Angie. Now, I just want to bring in a bit of a flip side before wrapping. But some people would say that, okay, fine, you have that luxury of slow eating, but I don't have. It doesn't fit into my fast paced, city life or my corporate lifestyle. I don't have that luxury with me, especially, for working mothers or working parents. They're always on the go. And I completely agree with that. So what's your take on that? I mean, how we can, how working parents or ones who don't have that privilege to enjoy eating or have enjoy the time of eating,
Mm.
they can create that balance.
Yeah, so, if you could just incorporate a couple of small things, like whether it's a prayer before you eat, which is gonna which is gonna slow down or activate your parasympathetic nervous system. And that process of kind of going within is going to calm the system down. So that has to be like a really simple thing that anyone can do. And whether you're religious or not, it doesn't have to be prayer. It can just be a moment of even just gratitude for whatever it is that you're eating, even if you haven't cooked it. And then to that, I would say, once you've done that prayer or you've done that centering or focus, is is just being very mindful of what's in your mouth and the smell and the taste and the texture and chew it. Like, make sure you're chewing your food. Like, I'm never going to advocate for like chewing your food like 30 times because that is very challenging. It is often the number that's indicated for the best kind of digestion, but like just chew your food till you feel comfortable to swallow it. But maybe even go a little bit slower than what you would normally because, comfort can usually just mean, what we're used to. So, if you normally just like take 3 bites and then swallow, try extending that to 6 chews. and then swallow. Um, and then also, like trying to make sure that you're always sharing a meal, wherever possible with somebody else. Invite someone to your table if you're at work and you often sit alone, sit with somebody else. Or, you know what, if you're at home alone and put on some really relaxing music,
Oh,
calm your system down. And that they've also shown in research that that helps with the microbiome as well, makes it healthier and stronger. So, like, these little tiny tweaks that you can make to your life can have enormous benefits down the track.
right. Absolutely. Those were some beautiful, beautiful tweaks. Beautiful tweaks. Great, great, Angie. And if our listeners would like to connect with you, what will be the best way to do that?
So they can find me at www.forestsuperfoods.com.au. We also are on Instagram, forestsuperfoods.com.au, and all the social media channels with the same handle.
Wonderful. I'll make sure to have all the links in the show notes. And thank you so much, Angela,
Sana, thank you. It's been lovely chatting with you.
for bringing clarity and compassion to this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.
And to all the listeners, maybe your next meal isn't just fuel, it's an invitation to breathe, to chew, to be. So, if you love today's episode, don't forget to follow the show and tag us in your slow eating moments. And let's bring presence, mindfulness back to the plate. Until next time, stay mindful, stay nourished. Thank you.